Hello, Pastor. How are you?
I'm all right. Good. How are you?
I'm very well, Pastor. So I've often discussed a very interesting topic with some of my friends, whereby they argue about the law of tithing, or tithes rather, saying that it's an old practice that was only meant for the Israelites, and because we're now in the new dispensation, which is the New Testament era, we no longer need to practice tithing. And they base their argument on the premise from Hebrews chapter 7 verse 12, which talks about the releasing of the priesthood and also the law. So tell me, Pastor, what is tithing still relevant? Yes, is tithing still relevant according to Hebrews chapter 7 verse 12?
Oh, thank you very much. You have asked a very, very pertinent question, especially in these days. It's a topical issue, the issue of tithing. I've heard a lot of presentations by some other teachers on social media and so forth. And of course, they base their arguments on exactly Hebrews chapter 7. And they say there was a change in the priesthood.
Yes.
So there's also a change in the tithing laws. But what people tend to ignore, Kuda, is the fact that if you are to use Hebrews chapter 7 as your springboard for your argument, then you are self-defeating. Because Paul in Hebrews chapter 7 is saying the Levitical priesthood did not bring in any perfection. There was need of a better priesthood. That's why Christ was not of the order of Levi. His priesthood is not of the order of Levi, but rather of the order of Melchizedek. Because the order of Melchizedek, the priesthood of Melchizedek, is a better priesthood. But coming to the fact now, if we are now under the priesthood of Melchizedek, then we ask ourselves this question: do we see anyone in the Bible, either Old or New Testament, who acknowledged the priesthood of Melchizedek by way of returning tithe? Because I want to narrow it down to your question. Do we therefore still need to be returning tithe if we have changed priesthood? And the answer, Kuda, is yes. Because
that's true.
When you read Genesis chapter 14, verse 18, then Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought out bread and wine. He was the priest of God Most High, and he blessed him is Abraham, and said, blessed be Abraham of God Most High, professor of heaven and earth, and blessed be God Most High, who has delivered your enemies into your hand. And Abraham gave him a tithe of all. So Abraham acknowledged Melchizedek's priesthood by giving him a tithe. And the fact that it's not Melchizedek who commanded Abraham to give him a tithe.
It was just Abraham.
It was Abraham, which means it was his custom. Abraham acknowledged that if someone is a priest unto God, then he ought to receive my tithe. And Abraham gave his tithe to Melchizedek, whom we are saying we are now, his priesthood is the one that we are now under today. So if Abraham acknowledged Melchizedek's priesthood by giving him a tithe, then it will be self-defeating, like I've already said, for us now to say we are now under Melchizedek's priesthood, we no longer need to return tithe. What are we saying? Abraham acknowledged the priesthood of Melchizedek, and he returned tithe. So those that acknowledge that we are now under the order of Melchizedek, we need to follow suit. In fact, it had to be those who are under the Levitical priesthood who were supposed to question the returning of tithes, who were supposed to say, no, we don't need to do that. We know that it's only the Melchizedek priesthood that will receive tithes. So I don't see how exactly people are making this argument. And if you're also to read Genesis chapter 28, Genesis 28, let's start from verse 16. Then Jacob awoke from his sleep and said, surely the Lord is in this place. I did not know it. And he was afraid and said, how awesome is this place? There is none other than the house of God, and this is the gate of heaven. Then Jacob rose early in the morning and took the stone that he had put at his head, set it up as a pillar, and poured oil on top of it. And he called the name of that place Bethel. But the name of that city had been Luz previously. Then Jacob made a vow. This is what the part that I want, saying, if God will be with me and keep me in this way that I am going, and give me bread to eat and clothing to put on, so that I come back to my father's house in peace, then the Lord shall be my God. And this stone which I have set as a pillar shall be God's house. And of all that you give me, I will surely give a tenth to you. That's Jacob. Way before the institution of the Levitical priesthood. Jacob knew the issue.
To God.
Yes, he knew the issue of tithe and returning a tenth to God. And he's saying, God, if you will do this to me, I will definitely give you a faithful tithe. So it has nothing to do with the Levitical priesthood, whether we should or should not return tithe. It's a practice that God's people ought always to do,
yes.
and follow. Because Abraham, before the Levitical priesthood, he was in the he was following the practice.
And
Jacob
did
was
the same
following
thing,
the practice. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Pastor. That was very enlightening.
Thank you very much. You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.